Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to Tea with the Druid, Tea with Druids 191. It's just a small group of us because Facebook is down. Lots of people are walking out of their houses into the sunshine or into the starlight, freed from being tied to their screens. Millions of people all over the world. But it's lovely that we're all here together. And hello from beautiful Scotland. Hello from Norwich, hello from Belgium, Portugal, Cornwall, South Africa. Hi, Lauren. Italy, Elvira. Yeah, lots of places. Miami. How lovely to see you. Mount Shasta, California. Yeah. So here we are at the beginning of October. And there's this project that I mentioned in the last tea that you might like to join me in, which is really tuning in to the passing seasons and to the wheel of the year as it turns. As you probably know, the wheel of the year is a big thing in paganism and in nature spirituality and in Druidry. It's a big thing. And we're all probably very familiar with the 8 seasonal festivals, solstices and equinoxes and so on. But of course, every day is magical and every day has a particular quality and energy. And every month, whether that's a lunar month or the sort of traditional month that we're used to, is slightly different. And so what I'm doing is I'm trying to really tune into the world around me and ask myself what gift is being given, what the invitation is. Because there's an interesting way in which I think Druid spirituality is all about relationship. It's about our connection with the natural world and about the relationship and dialogue that's going on between self and other, between what's out there and what's inside. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about my impressions of that for this time we're in now. But I appreciate that, we're gathering from all over the world, from Alabama, Stockport, County Clare in Ireland, Washington, Phoenix, and York, and so on. So I'd love you, if you'd like to participate in this, just have a thought for a moment about what the current moment, the outside, the world of nature, what is it inviting you into? What mood, what energy, what quality? Just jot a word or two down. That would be so interesting to see. And then I'm going to talk about just what I'm experiencing here and see if this resonates with you. Last month, September, there was this real sense of peace and tranquility. Those lovely autumn days where there was gentle sunshine and a kind of clarity in the air, a contemplative sort of feeling. An invitation for recollection. And now as we've moved into October, there have been these winds that have started to whip up and rain too. And if you think about it, let's have a look. We're having some nice comments coming in here. I'm already thinking of spring, Ellen says, planting bulbs, grounded, comfort, reflection, rest. Seeking warmth of shelter, enjoying the sunshine in the cool air, getting cozy. Ben is in St. Lucia, very different weather situation there, Ben. Gratitude is the key word for me. Storminess, prompting a letting go. This is what I'm sort of tuning into here. So there's a pause, letting go of what's not needed anymore and rest, says Layla. Yes, part of the letting go of what's needed is Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp. Yes, listening to wind song. Lovely. So lots of different feelings here. So whereas I was feeling in September this sense of calm and peace, as we shift into this time now, I'm feeling this call to let go, this shedding as this wind blows through me. The poet William Ayet, who's I've interviewed in one of these sessions, a fantastic guy, he has a line that he starts his book with, "Life's a shedding," about how, although of course we accumulate during our lives, there's a way in which it's a shedding too. And the spiritual process is partly about facilitating and encouraging that shedding, I'd like to suggest. And October, this particular weather now, this particular time of year, in this particular place, maybe other places too, but certainly in southern England at the moment and probably elsewhere too, the encouragement feels to be shedding. The wind is blowing, the rain is washing away the debris. And we're moving towards, in less than 4 weeks, well, in just over 4 weeks' time, we'll come to Samhain, which is the time of letting go. It's the time when the Cailleach is evoked, the crone aspect of the goddess, the Kali aspect of the goddess, where she strips everything away from you and you cast what you no longer wish to have in your life. You write down on a piece of paper, perhaps in a ceremony, and cast it into the fire. And you really sense that letting go. But the lovely thing about working perhaps every day in your meditation, or in these weekly sessions that we're having, working with the energy and the feeling of the seasons, is that all these processes, we can give ourselves the luxury of time. So perhaps we gave ourselves the luxury of really tuning in to the quality of calm and peace and tranquility and stillness and slowing down through September. And now, if it feels right for you, perhaps you can give in or allow or open to feelings of shedding, of letting go. So the leaves are starting to fall from the trees, just starting to fall. And then in about a month's time, as Samhain comes, the last of the leaves perhaps will be blown away, if not literally, then metaphorically. And then we come into a new period, which we can talk about in November after Samhain. So life's a shedding, a letting go. And what I'd like to suggest is that we have a meditation together. And in our meditations, we often go to the sacred grove. This is a clearing in the forest, beloved of the Druids, where we feel the companionship of the trees around us. And if we identify with becoming a tree, we sense the solidarity and the community of the trees around us. In this meditation, I'd like to suggest we try something slightly different, which is being the lone tree. You know, the wonderful image of often a sort of a gentle hill, a small hill, and just the one mature tree standing on it. And there's something about that, as Gibran, the poet, talks about when he writes about love. He talks about in a relationship how wonderful it is to be able to step back and to see each other as separate beings, silhouetted, I've forgotten the exact words of it, but sort of standing alone against the wide sky, he says. In love, we're so concerned often with fusion and with getting closer to the beloved. Gibran suggests something completely different, which is actually taking a step back and seeing them alone against a wide sky. And so I have a poem for you, which is from Rainer Maria Rilke, a wonderful mystical poet. And One of the beautiful things about poetry, I think, is the way often one's mind, certainly my mind, can't grasp it all. So about half of this poem is kind of quite obscure to me, and I can't get it with my mind, so I have to surrender to it. So if you're not understanding it, you're not alone by any means, even though the poem is entitled I Am Too Alone. But I'll read it out to you, and I'll repeat the second half again a second time for you to hear. And then let's slip into a meditation. And if you feel like doing this, we'll go into a meditation of imagining we're a lone tree with the breeze starting to help us shed our leaves. And of course, you don't have to do this meditation. You can just sit and watch and listen if you like, and maybe decide to do it later, or close your eyes and go with it. I Am Too Alone by Rainer Maria Rilke, from A Book for the Hours of Prayer, translated by Robert Bly. I am too alone in the world. I'm not alone enough to make every minute holy. I'm too tiny in this world, and not tiny enough just to lie before you like a thing, shrewd and secretive. I want my own will, and I want simply to be with my will as it goes towards action. And in the silent, sometimes hardly moving times, when something is coming near, I want to be with those who know secret things, or else alone. I want to be a mirror for your whole body, and I never want to be blind or to be too old to hold up your heavy and swaying picture. I want to unfold. I don't want to stay folded anywhere, because where I am folded, there I am a lie. And I want my grasp of things true before you. I want to describe myself like a painting that I looked at closely for a long time, like a saying that I finally understood, like the picture I use every day, like the face of my mother, like a ship that took me safely through the wildest storm of all. I want to unfold. I don't want to stay folded anywhere, because where I am folded, there I am a lie. And I want my grasp of things true before you. I want to describe myself like a painting that I looked at closely for a long time, like a saying that I finally understood, like the picture I use every day, like the face of my mother, like a ship that took me safely through the wildest storm of all. And so, entering into our meditation, you might like to close your eyes to better concentrate on yourself and to become aware of being seated before your screen, the ceiling above you, the floor beneath you, and the walls around you, fully present here and now. And as you take in a deep breath and hold for a moment before breathing out, you gently allow your awareness of being seated before your screen to fade as you become aware of being a tree standing on a hillside. Your legs and your feet like the trunk of the tree rooted deep in the earth. And you feel your roots going deep, deep into the soil. And you feel such strength in your roots. You feel the way they hold on to rocks, the way they draw moisture from the soil, the way the energy of the earth and the life of the earth flows up through your roots, up into your trunk, and then up through your trunk, out to your branches, up to your crown, this life force flowing up into the leaves too. And you just gently breathe in and breathe out, sensing yourself, if you wish, as this lone tree standing, the energy of the earth flowing up, the energy of the land all around you, nourishing you and sustaining you, the energy of the sky flowing down into you. And the energy of the sky meets the energy of the earth within the center of your being. And you become aware now of the leaves. And there are so many leaves in your tree, it's almost as if you can feel their weight now. And you love these leaves, they're bright or dark green. And yet you can feel too that the time has come for you to start shedding your leaves. And even as you think this, a breeze starts to flow and to blow. And you start to feel some of your leaves just gently dislodging themselves from your branches and falling down. And you sense your leaves turning golden and brown. And another gust of wind comes. And more leaves fall to the ground in great showers of golden and brown. And there's something tremendously exhilarating by this breeze as it blows through you. And it comes towards you to begin with as you face it. But then the breeze turns and you feel it on the right side of you, blowing leaves that are on one side of you, and then from behind another gust of wind. And then to your left side. And then from in front of you, just blowing towards you. And you feel the leaves drifting down, not all of them, some stay. But you feel lighter as the sunlight or the moonlight and the starlight is able to reach your branches now. And you rest. Sensing yourself both alone here on this hill, but also profoundly at one with all of life, rooted deep in the earth, standing tall. connected to the sky, the sun and the stars. And you gradually allow your awareness now of being the tree to fade. Allowing yourself to come back into an awareness of your body. Feeling yourself present, centered in your body. The energy of the earth sustaining and nourishing you. The energy of the sky energizing you and inspiring you. And as the scene of the tree on the hillside fades and you become aware of the walls around you, the ceiling above you and the floor beneath you, you place your hands on your heart, sensing the love in your heart, your connection to all of life. And feeling one, feeling whole, feeling connected to all of life, but also singular, particular, whole, yourself. You gradually, when you feel ready, open your eyes. When you feel ready, you open your eyes, feeling fully present here and now. And maybe as a way of grounding and coming from this place of aloneness to a sense of connection, maybe it's an idea to type a few words of how you're feeling now in the chat, just to reach out to the community of souls that we all form all across the world. I'm just reading the comments here. One of my tree guides is a lone tree, says Frida. David says, massive bur oak on a hill. David says he wants to fly over here and give me a hug someday. Yes, that would be nice. Let's have a virtual hug now. You can use trees to send messages, of course. I remember once doing a workshop in Holland, and we talked about how trees act in this mysterious ways to link ourselves telepathically with each other. And we tried it out we all fanned out into the woods in Holland. And when we came back and sat in the circle inside and shared our stories, one woman who was a grandmother started to cry. And she told her story, which is that she had been estranged from her daughter, who didn't allow her to see her granddaughter anymore. And so that upset her greatly. So she had hugged a tree and she had sent a message to her granddaughter because it was her birthday that day. And she had sent her a happy birthday greeting. And when she finished hugging the tree, she followed the little instructions I'd given to just turn around and then sit quietly in meditation with our eyes closed, just letting go, just being in the presence of the tree. And when she opened her eyes, the wind had blown directly in front of her a balloon that said happy birthday on it. A balloon that had been floating around in the woods, left by somebody else, presumably. And it just happened to arrive in front of her. And of course, that was this wonderful confirmation for her, that synchronicity. Calm yet melancholic, Yes, this is this time of year, this autumnal feeling of melancholy, which I think if one understands or perhaps senses that it's not just personal, it's somehow in the air, it's something to do with the natural cycle, it's kind of easier to be okay with it, perhaps. Kazinto said, I felt my thirsty roots being quenched by cool water, and I felt my hungry branches being fed by warm sunlight. That's great. Sergio says, it's like the one and the all, feeling alone, but rooted and connected with the earth and stars, so not lonely. Yes, exactly. And it's funny, isn't it, that in English, certainly alone is all one. AL, it's missing two L's, but AL and then one. Jules says, balanced now and being alone is okay. It's been a long journey, but this balance will give me what I need to keep going. May we all find that tree strength within ourselves. That, I think, is one of the tremendous gifts that the trees bring us, that somehow meditating with them, imagining that we're trees, identifying with them in our consciousness, connecting with them, however you want to talk about this process or this method or practice, it's so rich and fulfilling. Lenny felt very scared on losing his leaves, or her sorry, I can't tell. Yeah, on losing your leaves. Yes, letting go is hard. And it sort of builds this letting go. It's as if nature's encouraging us. And I suppose a meditation like this is a way of helping us. And obviously we don't force these things. If it's uncomfortable for you, don't do it. Or just do it a little bit, or just kind of enter into it just tentatively, just for a few moments, or just play with it in your imagination. But I think really you could say that the idea is that by working in this way, figuratively, if you like, lyrically, imaginatively, by imagining these things, perhaps it's a bit easier to let go of attachments, of longings, of projections that we're holding on to. So perhaps an exercise like this can facilitate that process. It's a process as well which is profoundly magical, because it's a process of disenchantment, disillusionment. And we tend to think of those words in a negative sense, like, oh, I was disillusioned, or I was disenchanted. But really, I think we have to see it like this, or one way of seeing it is like this. We get seduced by the world, by attachment, by desires, by fantasies, by all sorts of things which have their value and bring us gifts and so on. But they also tend to enmesh us in particular ways. And there's a way in which, by becoming disenchanted, disillusioned, by letting go, by freeing ourselves of attachments, we gain a kind of freedom that allows us to then re-enchant our lives with a truer kind of love, a truer kind of consciousness or awareness, a deeper levels of these feelings. It's quite easy to hear, spiritual teachings about releasing attachments, and for it to feel like we're being asked to be in some kind of dissociative state where we're not loving anymore, we're not connected anymore. But I think, Druidry, nature spirituality, the idea of connecting with nature in a spiritual way is all about how can I connect in a deeper, fuller, more natural way that doesn't have the kind of sticky, unhelpful level of attachments that somebody might associate with, well, I'm falling back into sort of esoteric terminology now, like the desire body or something like that. But I guess you know what I mean. David talking about shedding the useless debris from your life. Yes, I mean, we just all accumulate stuff. So there's every so often we take stuff to the charity shop. We look through our books or the stuff we've collected or whatever, and we want to shed some of that. We want to kind of, what's it called? There's a kind of Japanese word, isn't there? People write books about it. I've forgotten the name of it. Sorry, David saying tomes. Tell us how we pronounce your name. Okay. Yes, shedding stuff, the charity shop. So this is kind of the sort of psychological equivalent of this. Going to the charity shop and saying, hey, I don't think I need this, or maybe you might do better than me with this, and maybe this will be of interest to you. And of course, that's exactly what the leaves do. They're shed, and they're of more interest to the earth. They turn into humus in the ground, and they provide nutrients. They're no longer needed up here, so they drop down. Decluttering, thank you. And I think there's a Japanese word, isn't there? But maybe not. Yes, there are whole books about decluttering. Tomes. Okay, David Tomes. Hi, David. Thank you. So, thank you all. We've had our decluttering session for the day, and I look forward to seeing you next week. And many, many blessings, lots of love, and have a really, really good week. And I'll see you next week. Okay, bye.